going on, people? Today we're in central London, seeing a man called Son Phillips. He is a man born in Paris, raised in Toulouse. And what I like about this episode today is we're going to be comparing some of the parallels from French hip-hop to UK hip-hop, which you know I'm a fan of. So let's get this in. You know, when I get ready for the RoundURS episodes, I like to have an in-depth conversation with the guest before we go into the interview. And you know, when we were talking about music, there were so many similarities, both with the soundscape and the aesthetic to French hip-hop, to UK hip-hop, and I just thought it'd be an interesting conversation about, you know, culture and music in the different countries. So yeah, really enjoyed this one, and I hope you do too. So Son Phillips,
yeah,
welcome to RoundURS episode 3. How's it going?
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no worries, man, no worries. I'm excited today. I'm excited because listening to your playlist on the way here, and talking to you, obviously we have a personal relationship. I was interested and excited because of the sort of the influence of French hip hop, which is not something that I'm well versed about, but the sonics of it excited me. Like I was telling you before we started, a lot of it sounds like a very a good era of like UK hip hop to me as well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about going into that. But first, before we go into all that, tell me a little bit about where all of this started with you. Like, where were you born and where did you grow up?
Yeah, so I born in Paris.
Yeah.
But I stayed just a few years, and after my parents moved in Toulouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I lived in Toulouse for 28 years. Mm-hmm. So Toulouse is really my town.
Toulouse is home. Yeah.
It's really my home. And so I worked in different. I lived in different places because my father worked in different places, and so he moved quite a lot. But always in Toulouse or around in Toulouse. So,
quick question: difference between Toulouse and Paris, music-wise?
So Toulouse is more Latino. You know, more like reggaeton, etc. Especially now, if we go back, there is like few years, the electro, like dance music, etc. worked quite a lot also, and hip hop, of course, like everywhere in France. There was a period. The period was here. R&B classics was quite famous too for France. So all this old hip hop, and at the same time there was like really a good French hip hop ambience. So that was great. After, I think Paris is a bit more rap, really, like, you know, more underground rap and more how I can say more hard, you know, hip hop. Compared to Toulouse, I think Toulouse is more like, you know, more parties, more
Paris is more
commercial,
specialist underground. Okay, yeah. I feel you. So cool. Let's talk about your musical influences growing up.
Yeah.
So we've spoken a little bit about Paris and Toulouse.
Yeah.
When you arrived in Toulouse, and I guess through your teenage years, what were like the milestones for you?
So, so when I was a teenager, I arrived in Toulouse. I was like 8, 9. So I was more listening the music of my parents, especially at this time in the 90s.
Who was like the more dominant parent musically?
I think they were quite equal because it was really like French classic music, like you know, the pop tunes, etc. in France. So to be honest, not really an amazing music choices, but that's like that. But after when I was more in the 12, 13, 14, 15 years old, and so with the influence also in the school and the friends, etc., and the areas, because in the areas I was in the area a bit more ghetto, you know, if we can say like that, in France. So for sure the hip hop was really there. So I began to be really interesting of that, and I really felt maybe because the African origin, also I felt like something, you know, really connected with me. You know?
I know.
And when I was 15, because it's really important for me, it was the beginning of the music. I just woke up one night and decided to write something, you know, because I don't know, I was was feeling really
inspired.
Inspired, you know?
Yeah.
So like that, I wrote my first text, my first lyrics.
Yeah.
And
can you remember any of it?
Yeah, I remember the text was about like a dream.
Okay, yeah,
sure,
yeah.
I was in the middle of the night, so it was a bit obvious. Yeah. So yeah, about a dream, and the way actually I was linked the life with the dream, you know, and but it was I already like sometimes read that again and. Now I said, oh yeah, it's a bit weird, but it was the first inspiration.
Yeah.
And so from that, like 1 year after, I was with the friend at school called Laurent, and it was really interesting by hip hop and you know and rapping, etc. And I show him like this text and few other ones I wrote in the year, and he said to me, so. Maybe we can try, you know, to have a band or something.
Yeah,
and
okay.
try, you know.
Was he the DJ or was he trying to do the rapping as well?
It was just rapping also.
Okay,
you know?
okay.
And so.
So you two became like a little.
Exactly, we were like really new.
Yeah, okay.
We don't know about that, you know, and so we began like that, and actually it was good. We did 4 years, 4 years with the other people, and. It was really, really good. We did a lot of concerts and.
Okay, in Toulouse.
Yeah, in Toulouse and around. We went in Paris. We went in other places. The band called État d'urgence.
Okay.
And
what does that mean?
Emergency state.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good, and it was the beginning for me.
Yeah. And at that point, when you were rolling around like with your guys and you started making music, was it more American hip hop that was the influence, or was it more French hip hop?
It was literally French hip hop.
Really?
Yeah, literally.
And was everyone just isolated in that way? Was everyone just feeling like French hip hop more than the American hip hop?
We were really influenced also by the US hip hop because we liked it, but because the French hip hop was really, really good, and also it was good for the writing, you know, because. At this time, I absolutely didn't speak English.
Yeah.
So we can't understand what they said.
Yeah.
The only things we know, it's
I see,
you know what I mean?
I see.
The only things you know, it's like the beat is good.
Yeah.
But that's it. But with the French rap, it's different.
I think, and I think the function of that French rap is being like that and it being so popular and also isolated is the fact that I don't know if it's the government or if it's the radio, but they have that certain amount of percentage.
Yes.
Has to be French music on radio, don't they?
Yeah.
And that must fund like so many cool independent movements in France.
Yeah. And because of that, we had the chance to hear like really good music, especially at this time.
So one of the popular compilations in France is Premier Class.
Yes.
Is that right? Did I say it right?
Yeah. Premier Class, yeah.
Talk to me about the influence of Premier Class on yourself and also, I guess, Toulouse.
So Premier Class was, if I remember well, I think it was end of the 90s or beginning of the 90s. And what I liked about this compilation is the subjects. They talking about the racism, because racism unfortunately is quite big in France, especially at this time. It's still like really actual, unfortunately.
Let's dive into that a little bit. Let's talk about the feelings of that when you were growing up. Like how was that sort of?
To be honest, it was really hard.
Yeah,
it was really difficult because it was really a difference between. The people immigrate or with like origin or mixed race or black or Arabic, etc. It was really complicated because you can really felt the difference for them. You know, there is
it's
a
very
difference.
explicit in the
so
feeling.
Explicit.
Yeah.
When I say explicit, is literally because, for example, for my father, there is sometimes he could not have a job because the fact he's black. You know, and I felt that also in school, even if in the school almost people were black, Arabic, or mixed race. You know. But you can feel it, and in the streets, and you know, everywhere.
And how did music break any of that? Like, was there like a lot of French people of like French origin that really embraced hip hop, or was it a thing that was when you were growing up? It was like that's hip hop over there, and we've got our stuff.
Yeah, so I can say the hip hop was really for underground and people with origins, not French origins, or people in ghettos, etc. The hip hop was more for them, because they were the only one to listen actually. And but it was good for me because I was really in the sport also. I played basketball for 12 years, and actually sport and music was a bit an escape, you know, also. So the fact to have the possibility to writing, to you know, to express yourself when you're rapping, for a concert or with friends, etc. It was like an escape of all these things, all, you know, no money and you know, the racism, etc. So it was really important for me deeply, you know.
Coming back to the Premier Class then, talk about some of the artists that had a big influence on you from those compilations.
Yeah, so before, just to going back a bit before Premier Class, there is a band called I Am. It was like really it's my favorite band ever. And I remember this track in Premier Class with Shuriken. Shuriken is one member of I Am. And I love this compilation because the text were really deep and means something. You know, really means something.
And you related to it as well, like
exactly.
That connection.
And you can identify you to what they say, you know. And I loved this compilation, like a lot of people, especially in the hip hop, because of that. Yeah.
And those, obviously, at that time, had you started DJing, or was DJing later on?
No. I began to DJing in 2003.
Okay.
With just like private parties, or, you know, parties for friends. It was really my beginning of DJing.
So rapping was
rapping was already. I wrote my first text in 1995, and I had my French band, rap band with my friend, 1998 to 2002. And after, in 2003, I began to DJing, continue, of course, like, you know, like writing, production, etc.
Yeah.
But I began DJing in 2003, and actually around, so if I remember, you know, 2004, 2005, I began to have my own nightclub with two DJ friends. Was with hip hop, R&B classics, reggae dancehall, you know, a bit of Latino, etc. We did that for 2 years. And after that, I began to go in clubs and, you know, and working clubs more and more and more.
Was this vinyl CD times? What were you using?
It was like the end of the vinyl and the beginning of the CD.
Okay. Did you have a big vinyl collection, or was it?
No. Because
10 records.
Yeah, no. You know, I saw as the beginning of CD. I said, I can use that.
Yeah. Vinyl's expensive, man.
Well, it's so expensive, man. Oh my god.
But it's good to have vinyl though, because like I had a lot of vinyl when I was buying a lot of vinyl. And now I look back on my collection, it's like there's very specific like songs and releases that I'm glad I've got the physical copy of, because after that there's the digital era, and that was all like when I started downloading music illegally and like was using like Kazaa and stuff like that. It wasn't illegal, just for anyone who wants to catch me. But like all of that music now is like you lose a hard drive and you forget about it, you know. You lose that hard drive, that computer dies, and you forget about this 3 to 4 years that you've been using that, all of your musical memories, you know. When you're talking about that just then, were you guys using CDs or vinyl?
Yeah, I using CDs. I already mixed in vinyl. That is a long time ago, but it was clearly the end of the vinyl.
End of the era.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was good for me because it was like, you know, quite expensive.
Expensive and also heavy. Like when you're carrying vinyl around,
when you have to travel,
turntables and all that. Like I just go over USB now.
I have so much respect for the, you know, the DJ. Went across the world in the 80s. All the vinyl used to take the plane. But I heard there was once like they used to go in the shop in the town to find some vinyl for the party. Yeah, because if you're looking, they are all like that.
You know? If I was a DJ those times, or if I was an artist, I would just say to the fans, like, bring like my album and I'll sign it for you, and then I've got like copies
the
I play from that.
The only good point is when people come in for requests, you say, I'm sorry, I
yeah,
just have 10 vinyls and that's it, you know.
Yeah, and that's the difference between now. You can have everything in a click of a finger. Everything's so accessible now.
It's so true.
Whereas there is something to say about that era where like you've got the 12-inch and it's a rare copy. No one else has got it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's rare. Yeah. Cool. So let's talk a bit more about some specific influences then in terms of artists. So I know you touched on Premier Class. I know you touched on Ian. Was it Ian?
I am, yeah.
I am. Talk to me about some of the other artists that were really like sort of prominent at that time.
So for you talking in general or more DJing or?
I guess like we've spoken about some of your influences growing up, but I guess this is now more the sort of now you're sort of cemented in terms of what you're doing. Who was the guys that really like influenced you?
First of all, what I can say is I always noticed when I was younger, when I'm with all my friends in the hip hop, then I was almost the only one so influenced by other stuff, like rock, electronic
Prince,
music,
stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly, like Prince, like Freddie Mercury or Prodigy, you know, stuff like that. And always I heard my friends say, yeah, that's okay, but you know, I don't really like. And I was really like so into it, you know, so I like that so much. So maybe it's also for that I became DJ, because it was a way for me to play everything I want and listening to everything I want. Whatever the genre.
Was it quite eclectic in France in terms of like what was on the radio? Because like you just mentioned, like quite commercial, big artists.
Yeah, before we say in the beginning of the noughties, it was hip hop, but also that the rock music or dance music, by you know David Guetta was quite massive in France. It's still really massive in France and everywhere in the world. But artists like that, or Bob Sinclair, Martin Solveig, etc. They were like in the dance music, and in the noughties, in the beginning of the noughties, it was quite big too. Except hip hop is, like I say, I was really influenced by artists like Prodigy, or artists like Bob Sinclair, for example, also more for the dance and for the electronic music. And that was a big part for me. And it's also for this reason, when I came in London and I had to play house music, because it was there is the job. It was okay for me. It was no problem, because I always be really eclectic and listening a lot of stuff and a lot of different genres.
Yeah. So let's talk about some house music. The person that introduced us was Laris.
Laris Alexander.
Laris, wherever you are.
Thank you so
Shout
much.
out to you, man.
For that and for all the other things. You know.
So talk to me about the house music that I guess that you play here, but also that sort of started interesting you in France. Because I was talking to you about this before, and I always thought of France as like I always thought it would have like a big house scene. Like it kind of, when you're in Paris, it feels like somewhere that would have a house festival or something like that.
Yeah, but it's not.
But actually, like I don't see none of the big DJs going over there. So talk to me about house and your relationship with house.
So what I like in house music, and it's really eclectic. You know, you can have Afro house, Latin house, Jackin house, groove house, tech house. And the influences are from everything, you know, and that's something you really, really literally find in the house music, because they can take like a loop of like old rock or you know old soul music, you know, and doing a track with, and I really appreciate that. And also, I don't know, I always loved the beat, you know, the rhythm. The drum is
Afro house as well, particularly.
The drum is really my favorite instrument, and with the house music, you just enjoy that, you know.
And so you're a producer as well.
Yeah.
You produce some of your own cuts and stuff like that. In terms of your releases, you've done some releases in France, I think.
I did, and I'm in London also. My last one is called Dancehall Time. Is somewhere between hip hop and Moombahton music, and so Moombahton music is more like a mix between reggaeton and electronic music. It's working quite well now in the world. Begin to be like
get some
good
momentum
in London also.
Yeah.
And I'm really influenced by that. It's probably because it's really tropical, you know, and I always love that. And And again, is a story of mixing, you know, of mixing
Blending.
something with something, blending something with something else, you know. And I always love that. So yeah, my last one is Dance All Time. I released that like 2 months ago no, 1 month ago in internet, and I hope it will be he will do something interesting.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Cool. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I think I touched on it at the start of this, was the sonics of like the French hip hop, because it reminds me of a lot of like UK hip hop.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to touch on into the mix. In terms of your production, that's more sort of house. You don't do any rap production or any hip hop production.
Yeah.
You do as well.
Yeah, I'm doing. Okay,
as well. Cool.
Yeah.
So, and you want to throw some of them into the mix?
Sorry?
You want to throw some of them into the mix?
Yeah, no problem.
All right, cool. So yeah, I think we should get into the mix then, man, because I'm kind of excited and trying to play some of these songs and that.
So I want just to say, yeah, you know, because we talked about Laris quickly because he introduced himself, but I can say also for my career musical for now, because it's like more than 20 years from the moment I began, there is like few people. I had like a good entourage. For sure, there is people like didn't help me, but like for everyone. But I had also like few people like Jason Carroll, Victor Betty, Serge Adams, Madden. They really helped me to, you know, stay in the party.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep the momentum going.
Yeah, and that's really important for me to say, because often it looks like we are alone, but actually there is people there in the background and push, you know, and stay there every time, even when you're feeling so down, because you know you artists too, you know how it is. Sometimes my God, you feel, oh, what's happening? You know, you're doing something, you are 100% energy, and there is nothing after, you know. And but these people, they're there. You know what I mean? And they say, hey, it's alright, never mind.
That's cool.
Keep going, you know.
That's cool. I like that.
And so I think it's important to precise. Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope. Are those guys in London as well? They're back in
No. Jason Carroll is in London, but the other ones are in France. Yeah.
All right. Well, listen. Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this mix now and celebrate that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Cool.